Welcome, Dory.
Hi, Lori.
I'm so happy to interview you today. So you are one of the strongest, most amazing people that I know with great attitude. So especially with all that you're going through. So tell me a little bit about what's happening in your life right now.
Well, where would you like me to begin?
In a nutshell, and then we'll go
In a
back.
nutshell,
and
I'm currently still being treated for stage 4 B, ovarian cancer and peritoneal carcinoma. So I've had my surgery about 6 weeks ago, and I still have 2 more rounds of chemo left before we can finally say that this journey is, at least this part of the journey has come to an end.
So Dory, tell me about how you felt when you first heard the news.
Well, the way I found out was probably not really the normal way. You know, I had gone to see a gastroenterologist, and because we thought that it was a gastro problem, had no idea it was a gynecological problem. And so after they did the CT scan, the results were actually posted on what's called My Chart, which is the way the University of Utah here keeps track of your records so that you can get in and see like your test results or your medications, appointments, stuff like that. And so I got on My Chart, and the results of my CT scan were posted, and the doctor had not called me yet. So the first thing you're reading, you know, the radiologist report and all this stuff, and it's looking horrible. And then I get to the big words: epithelial cancer, peritoneal carcinomatosis was the first diagnosis, contingent of metastatic spread of ovarian cancer. So I'd look up the words, you know, with Dr. Google, and the peritoneal carcinomatosis, my heart sunk because I knew I was going to die, because there's a 2% chance of living from that.
To find that out on Google, I mean,
And
really.
not be explained by a doctor what everything really meant. Mm-hmm. I was a wreck, and my friend James was here. James and Dee both were here, and he was the first person that was here. And I showed him the paper and said, "Would you read this and tell me?" And he started to cry, and we just cried because I knew I was just not going to make it. And so that was my first reaction: was I'm gone.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that, read that, live that.
Plus, it was over a 4-day holiday weekend.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't talk to anybody until Tuesday.
Right.
But for me, what was very lucky was that on Monday, which was a holiday that day, it was September, was whatever, is it Labor Day that's in September, I believe? Yeah. Whichever holiday that is. And I was at my dear friend's house, and crying and telling her about what had happened, and I had my, results there on my computer. And she called her boyfriend, whose son-in-law is an oncology radiologist up at the Huntsman Cancer Institute, and he called me within 30 minutes, and I told him everything that it said, and he really calmed me down. But he's the one that just completely advocated. He got me in. I got a phone call on Tuesday from the oncology surgeon's office, and I had an appointment by Wednesday. I don't think that would have happened.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a longer process, and I would have been in more pain and stuff. Yeah. So I got fortunate with that.
That's awesome.
So I was in immediately.
So you've been going through treatment for how long now?
Since September, I think my first one was around September 11th, somewhere around there.
Okay. And then you just had surgery 6 weeks ago?
Yep, I had my surgery on November 26th. I had 3 chemo sessions. That my last one was October 31st before my surgery, and then my surgery was November 26th, and then I was in the hospital for about 9.5 days. So they had to take out all my spare organs almost. So they took both of my ovaries.
There is such a thing, but
yeah. Well, all I have left is a gallbladder and a spare kidney. So there you go. But they did have to take both of my ovaries, both of my fallopian tubes. I had already had a hysterectomy 20 years ago, so the uterus and the cervix was gone already. They took my spleen. There was cancer in my spleen. They took my appendix, not because there was cancer in it, but because it was hard, and they called it woody. So it was going to have to go anyways at some point. They took my omentum, which is the fatty, it's like a fatty apron that drapes the colon. And so they had to take that just because cancer likes to hide in there. And so they removed that. And then they took my diaphragm and pulled it out and completely stripped it, kind of like if you think about like the fatty tissue that's on a piece of meat and you peel that off so you don't cook it. They had to do that to my diaphragm and then put that back in, and then they just completely scraped the whole peritoneal where the chemo ahead of time had killed any other. There's lots of little tumors that were just burnt out, like they look like black tissue, so they had to scrape all of that. And then she felt along my small intestines where she could feel lymph nodes. They were all under 1 centimeter except for one. And so she was able to remove that one. There was cancer in that. She removed that. But then the other ones they had to leave in because they would have had to take the whole mesentery, and then you just die if you don't have that. So they just left those. They were under 1 millimeter anyways. And then the other thing is the lining above my diaphragm, they had to completely strip because there was cancer in there. Wow. So that was all burnt out from the chemo. And then the 2 lymph nodes, they got to leave because there was nothing left in there. So
yeah.
And then I had chemo on December 17th. So that was exactly 3 weeks after my surgery.
Wow. So here you are now, this far out. This has actually been kind of a quick journey from September to now. It's a lot.
It's been a lot.
Yeah. So today,
I don't know, quick, for some people it seems quick, I would say, but it's felt like it's
like
been
a whirlwind.
A whole year
Yeah.
or more.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, today you went to the doctor.
Today
and
I went.
What did they say?
For my 6-week checkup, and we had to postpone. I was scheduled for my second or my. I'm supposed to have 6 rounds, so I've had 4 so far. So my 5th round was supposed to be last week, but I was having so many stomach issues after my surgery. I haven't been able to eat very well, and then they did chemo 3 weeks, and that just wrecked my digestive system. And so we've postponed it until next Monday is when I have my 5th one. So we went in today for my checkup, and everything is surgically fine. My incisions are healing, but the digestive stuff, unfortunately, is really due to not having full ability to recover without having to go back in and do the chemo. So the chemo is really exasperating all of these issues with my digestive. And so basically it's kind of like it's how it's going to be until the chemo's over and my insides and my digestive system can finally heal. But it's just good to know that there's nothing wrong. There's no blockages. There's no scar tissue from the surgery causing these problems, which was a little bit of a scare and concern for me because there's just days that it just sucks.
Yeah, but you did get some good news.
But I got great news. Yeah, she told me today that basically I'm cancer-free. Yay! Yeah, the reason that they do the last couple of chemos is to get anything that's microscopic that they can't see with the eye in a scan or feel. But they were able to get everything, which to me is amazing considering how late in the game that I was. I had less than 6 months to live. My tumor was
stage
like
4
in stage 4B, which is like, you're just not going to live
the
longer.
end of stage 4.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so to me it's amazing because, and what I've learned and what was told to me is actually ovarian cancer responds really well. 80% of women will respond to the treatment for ovarian cancer. The problem is they don't find it until it's late because it's masked. There's not a lot of symptoms up until it's late. And most of the symptoms you're going to get at the beginning are like, oh, I'm not digesting, I'm bloated. How many of us don't ever get that? I've eaten too much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm kind of gassy.
Hard to tell.
Yeah. But I had one that was outstanding that I don't think is a normal one, and mine was my breath. Was really, really bad for over 2 years. So I had that symptom going on for a really long time. The other symptoms were stuff that I've been having, forever,
Yeah.
You're under stress, your stomach doesn't feel good.
Right.
You eat, you get bloated,
Yep. It's hard for us
The
to
fact
distinguish.
that, yes, and the fact that I didn't feel that mass till later blows my mind because I've been fit most of my life and lean, and I just started, when my stomach was expanded, I was just thinking, well, I am 55, so I guess at some point, and it wasn't that.
No. Well, I was excited to hear your news, so I'm glad we got to share it here today.
Thank you.